Man, I recall that video distinctly, okay? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys do as well. But a lot of people forgot. If you guys don't recognize that video, it was all over Twitter around 2020 when the US pulled out of Afghanistan. Now, obviously, a lot of Americans were happy about it because a lot of Americans, from what I can tell, don't agree with the war in Afghanistan or US troops being in there in the first place, right? But when they exited, it was so chaotic, bro. I'm talking, I think the last plane started leaving, and that's when you see the horde of people pull up to the plane and start getting on top of it. And what happens? Obviously, we can't show you on YouTube. You could do a quick little Twitter search. People ride the plane into the air and fall off that motherfucker, bro. It was, it still stays in my psyche to this day. I still think about it sometimes. Like, damn, what a way to die. You know what I'm saying? But listen, there were a few things that I think happened during that exodus that we did wrong. Obviously, the machinery, the extra weapons, the vehicles, the Taliban get to use it now, right? I don't think that was the biggest fumble the United States did. There was a certain program where the US and the Afghanistan CIA basically work together so that there's communication. They work together, they fight terrorism, they do all that in conjunction with one another. The US does this with Mexico, Afghanistan, with any country really that you want to work alongside with to fix a problem. There was a man, and I'm sure everybody's seen the news, everybody's seen the headlines. There was a man named Rahmanullah Lakanwal. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but that was the name. This man was a part of that program. He was a part, even his bio, let me pull it up. Even his bio said, Field Coordinator, Eastern Region, International Rescue Committee, over 11 years of experience and humanitarian aid worker dedicated to providing critical assistance to communities in crisis in Afghanistan. Extensive track record and delivering essential relief, coordinating relief efforts, and advocating for the vulnerable populations in the aftermath of disasters and conflicts. This man was a part of the CIA's program, and when the US left, they also took along some of the Afghan personnel, and that includes Lakanwal. Now, fast forward some years later, in 2025, and we have this man shooting at and hitting National Guards in front of Washington, D.C. It is one of the biggest stories on the internet right now for good reason, because it's the Afghanistan guy who lost his mind and decided to shoot everybody. Now, there are some key facts about this situation that I want to point out. We already know that he worked alongside the U.S., right? Also, it turns out that he drove from Washington State to the Capitol in order to do this. And this is the main thing that I want to talk about today because, everybody's going to scream out terrorist this, terrorist that. It was his plan the whole time. I'm not so sure about that because the way everything about this guy it seemed like he was trying to help the world. And I feel like something radicalized them within this country. I'm not sure if it was, I don't know what it was. I'll let you guys shoot it off in the comments to what you think happened. But I think something changed, and he decided to have a mission, a life's mission, to go and shoot these National Guard people to make a statement. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out some footage, and then we'll go to the actual crime scene and break a few more things down. But before we move on, the whole reason I showed that video with the people falling off the plane and the people, all that craziness that took place when the U.S. was exiting Afghanistan, I do think that might have somewhat of a role in his reasoning. For the first time in a long time, he's not dead. They didn't kill him. So I'm very interested to find out what his reasoning was. But let's check this out. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what you would call a broken rib. If you notice, there's a divot right here compared to the other side of my body. Those are two inwardly bent broken ribs, and they could have been normal. But why aren't they? So I was a lot younger at the time, and I was really into BMX. Long story short, I'm on my way home, and a car from behind me is coming so fast to where he runs me off the road. I fall, I crash, and I break my ribs up. Now, me and my family could have taken legal action, but what goes into everybody's mind the second they think about legal action? It's going to be too expensive. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring up the biggest injury law firm in the United States, Morgan & Morgan. They will take your case, and they will only pay themselves if you win and you get paid out. $25 billion and 500,000 clients is a lot of money. And that's how much accumulative money they have won over the years. This is why they can afford to have you come in and they only get paid if you win. If you have ever been injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. And you could do that by clicking the link below or check out the QR code that we're about to put up right here. And you could get your claim started today. I'm so thankful for Morgan & Morgan and the sponsorship. Shout them out. And let's get back to this video.
We have important new information this afternoon on how the attack played out. We're going to get to what Janine Pirro said about that in just a second. But first, we have access here that we have not had before to the actual spot where the shooting occurred. I'm standing at the spot right now. And if you come over here with me, our photojournalist Jay McMichael and I are going to walk you over here. This area here, excuse me, ma'am. This is the bus shelter where, according to officials, at least one of the guardsmen tried to take cover at, and you can see that a plexiglass panel here has been shot out. You can see the fragmented glass up there. This panel is gone, and I'm going to walk you over here to this planter. It appears here that there is a bullet hole here that entered here and exited here of this planter. There's another planter over here. Jay's going to shoot you a close-up of that, and there's another planter here where this part has been removed. I'm going to walk you over here to show you that part of the planter that was removed. And in the meantime, you see a makeshift memorial here to the victims, people laying flowers and an American flag. Over here is a part of that panel that was actually removed, and you can see additional bullet holes here, one here, one here. And this looks like some evidence that was handled by authorities as they started to process the scene last evening.
And this is my situation. It feels like something snapped within him and he wanted to get revenge by just making, I don't know if the National Guard did something to him or his family or he has past experiences with them, but this seems like something he was just going to shoot somebody at random, make sure it's the National Guard at least, make sure it's close to Washington, D.C., and I don't know, maybe just die at the end, maybe just suicide at the end, but the plan didn't work out as well. Now, before we even move on, we have to say rest in peace to the people who got shot. So far, 2 people were hit, 2 were critically injured. 1 over the past couple of hours has died. So we got to move on to the actual National Guards affected by this. So the BBC just posted this about 5 hours ago at the time of this recording, and they said, one of the 2 members of the National Guard who were shot in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday has died, U.S. President Donald Trump said. Sarah Beckstorm, 20. Damn, bro. Sarah Beckstorm, 20, died from her injuries while the second National Guard member, 24-year-old Andrew Wolf, is fighting for his life. Trump said everything Thursday evening. I'm sorry, Trump said on Thursday evening. Both were shot at close range near the Farragut Square in downtown D.C. just after 1400 EST, 1900 GMT on Wednesday. Police arrested one suspect in the shooting, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, I think that's it, Lakanwal, a 29-year-old from Afghanistan. And I mean, that's crazy. It's like, why would you even do that? You know what I'm saying? And this is another statistic that I saw the news anchors kind of running with. They're saying that people from Afghanistan, like nationals from Afghanistan and people who come into the country from that region, typically are quiet and don't commit crimes to a high degree. You know what I'm saying? So this gives me a feeling, man. I don't want to be Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, but I'm gonna give you my opinion. And it might be wrong, it might be right, but it feels like the drastic change in his behavior after being here for 5 years, it could have been planned, it could have been a master manipulation tactic, but I think someone got to him. I think someone had him compromised. You know, a lot of people in the world, they have everybody. They have a certain point. They have a certain breaking point, bro. And if you're able to get into their ear, I forgot who said this, but basically, if you're able to rationalize with that person the actions that they do for a better cause, you could damn near get them to do anything. I'm not sure who said that, but it was definitely someone who said that. And it's true. The moment you can get someone to rationalize, blowing up a police station or doing war crimes or just doing anything like that, whenever you can get someone to be like, you have to do this because the greater good counts on it, that's when people turn into these vested bombers and shooters and all the bullshit we get to see in the United States. Now, again, that's just my theory. This could have just been his plan the whole time, but it seems to me that he was compromised. The man drove from Washington State, gang, to Washington, D.C. to just open fire at the National Guard. I feel like there's something deeper to this story. But we'll get past me yapping all the extra stuff. Let's get to the actual scene of what happened. Obviously, I can't show you everything, but mainly aftermath is what I can show you. If you want to see full on, video and all that, just go to Twitter. Let's check this out. So this is them apparently taking the shooter to the ambulance. It says, piece of shit shooter, and video showing the aftermath of the DC shooting. All National Guard members deployed to cities must now be allowed to carry fully loaded weapons. You might as well paint a target on them. If this was targeted, we must change the rules of engagement. Everybody must be deputized as a U.S. Marshal and therefore be allowed to carry loaded weapons and authorized to use deadly force. Now, that's that person's opinion, but trust me, guys, behind closed doors, the U.S. is on high alert right now because this shit, it's targeted, guys. I'm just going to say it out. This is not random. This is not him losing his mind. Somebody said, and he was like, oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. That's what I genuinely believe happened. This is another view. They're taking him down, and he had already shot a bunch of shots out already. That broken glass right there, like the reporter said, that's from him shooting. Got a National Guard here. No sound, unfortunately, so I'm just going to narrate a little bit. And I think there's one person laid down from being shot, like right next to him. Wait, is there sound? Oh, there is sound. Imagine seeing that shit. You're just at work, kind of vibing out. Imagine seeing that shit, bro. That was pretty much it, man. Everybody in a frenzy, but I will say they didn't seem like they were freaking out too crazy. They were getting to work. They were moving quick. They were getting to work. This was a little bit during the shootout that they had. And trust me, the National Guard fired back. He's lucky he didn't die. And I'm grateful that he didn't die as well. Because now you get to suffer a little bit, gang. There's always the people in the hotel, or they do the shooting or they kill their family, and then they end it for themselves. Nah, be a man. You know what I'm saying? Toughen up, little man. You know what I'm saying? You did it, now go face that shit. Come on now. Don't quit halfway. So again, I'm happy they didn't kill him because, yeah, I'm very happy that didn't happen. This is another clip right here. This is when they're getting fired on. You see one run back, shots coming in, and then they turn back around and start blasting. You know what I'm saying? It's man, it's a crazy place, the United States, gang. I will say it is a crazy place, the United States. Now, here we go. Let's dig into the conspiracy, folks, because I'm not the big. I don't like to post conspiracy theories because I have a lot of them, and sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. But this is too much to avoid, too much to ignore. And if there's somebody in the comments, please give me an explanation for this, something that would make it reasonable as to why this happened before the assassination attempts. Explain to me how this could happen, right? Now, I'm a YouTuber. I love my job, by the way. I love you guys. Shout out my subscribers, man. You guys are top tier. Anyways, I'm a YouTuber, and sometimes when I'm searching through topics, I get a gauge on it through Google. So, for example, Sarah Boone. How popular is the Sarah Boone topic right now? You type that in Google, you find the you find the interest bar. I forgot what it's called, but it basically shows you internet traffic in what people are using on Google. So you could see how many people want to see Sarah Boone. And if the graph is like that, you should probably post a video. If the graph is flat and there's nothing there, you probably shouldn't post a video because nobody gives a fuck. The name Rahmanullah Lakanwal, and that's not James Smith. You know what I mean? That's not Michael Smith or that is a very distinct name from a different country. That name was searched in Washington, D.C. area on November 20th. That's it. That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. Take that with what you will. The time of recording this is, it's the 28th. The time of the shooting was Wednesday. How does that make sense? Let's go check this out. So this right here is what I was talking about. So you can really figure out what people are looking at by just the traffic on Google. And if we look at this, right? Washington, D.C., the past 7 days, November 20th, the name was searched. Now, listen, there's only one explanation that I could possibly give for this. Because he worked with the CIA in the past, they still had his name in their mouths. They still maybe pulled up his file, searched him up on Google real quick to confirm something. That is the only explanation I could figure out. But what everybody else is going to run with, which is what I'm it's kind of fishy to me, how is there's no activity around this man's name? There's zero activity around this man's name until November 19th. Then then there becomes spikes of his name, and then the name is released publicly, and then everybody's searching the name. What were they doing searching the name? November 20th, 2025 at 5 p.m., searched his name twice. Listen, we're going to keep our eyes on this story like a hawk because something's not adding up. I'm not the smartest person on the planet, but to me, to my Neanderthal brain, this shit don't make sense to me. But you guys, comment away. Give me your opinions. What do you think about this? Do you think he was just a terrorist his entire, he always wanted to be a terrorist? Or do you think something radically happened to him that changed him for the worst? And I just broke my pen. Fuck. Damn. Do you think something radically happened to him that changed him for the worse? Because this, first of all, driving across the country just doesn't make sense to me. Like you would have had a hotel or a plan already. It seems like somebody whispered something into his ears, put him on a trajectory, and he said, fuck it, let's do it. Like immediately, fuck it, let's do it. Let's go, let's get it done, for the greater good. But shit, you guys let me know what you think, man. I love you guys. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. And don't spend too much money on Black Friday, folks. You feel me? I'll see you later, man. Peace.